All right, it is now 6:34. I will call the meeting of the Milton School Building Committee's OPM Subcommittee to order. As part of that committee is Scott Tereshak, who's remote, Glenn Hoffman in the room, and Sean O'Rourke. And I'm the chair of the overall school building committee. Tim Lombard was also on the OPM subcommittee, but is not available tonight, so I'll essentially proxy in for him and speak on his behalf based on conversations that we had. Second thing on the agenda is citizen speak. So we reserve the first 15 minutes of every meeting for any resident that does want to speak. We ask that you limit your uh, talking points to 3 minutes, and please state your name and address if you'd like to. And if so, just raise your hand if we'll call on you. And seeing none. All right, so let's look at the agenda too. All right, agenda item 3 is OPM proposal review. So is everyone's aware, the town has sent out a request for services for an OPM for our Mass School Building Authority project, which consists of either an addition renovation to the Collicott Cunningham School, which was the school was our basis of our statement of interest, and then either a new elementary school K-5 with an enrollment of 495 students plus preschool, or a new middle school grades 7th and 8th with preschool with an enrollment of 660, again, plus preschool. A couple sites that we were looking at was Gow Road and potentially Labouré College. With those submittals, again, we received 11 of them, which was a lot, which was great. So there was a lot of interest in the overall project. What we did was, in just stating this for the public that might tune in, essentially the proposals that were received, it was reviewed by the subcommittee of Glenn Hoffman, Scott Tereshak, and Tim Lombard. And they used a weighted base scoring system. And essentially that scoring system looked at a number of things, and it was 12 items individually. So run through them kind of quickly and from a high level. One was past performance on other projects that carried a weighted total of 15 points. Knowledge of the state building code and ADA requirements that carried 10 points. Mass contracting and procurement law, 5 points. The overall management approach to the project, 5 points. Key personnel that would be working on the project, 15 points. Capacity and skills for the project, 15 points. Current and future workloads in excess of $1.5 million, 5 points. Familiarity with the Northeast Collaborative and LEED, essentially green building, 5 points. Life cycle cost analysis experience, 5 points. Experience knowledge of the purpose and practice of building commissioning, that would be 5 points. And then experience in presentations and the ability to convey some of the ideas and thoughts that are going to come out of this entire process, 5 points. And then the final 5 points was essentially financial accounting or financial stability through records that were submitted. So what we've done is Glenn, Scott, and Tim have walked through all 11 proposals, scored each one individually on those 12 items or criteria. So I'm going to move on to agenda item 4, which is OPM subcommittee scoring shortlist. So essentially what we're doing now is we're going to go to each individual, starting with Glenn, and let him walk through his top 3 that he has scored. The overall scoring from each individual and the overall average I'll present at the end. Actually, I'll present it now so everybody can see. So let me just get to this. All right, so you want to walk through yours, high level?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start off by saying that, obviously, the three categories that really carry a lot of weight are the past performance, the management approach, and the key personnel. I think another factor that influenced some of the scores was using actual examples, in particular code categories, all those 5-point categories. If I didn't see any examples cited, it definitely was detrimental to the score. I think the stronger scores use examples in a lot of the categories, include key personnel and management approach. One other factor before I get into the specifics is key personnel. I wasn't looking for just the OPM personnel. I was looking at their support personnel. Did they have a code consultant on board? Did they have a mechanical engineer or a mechanical specialist on board, which would also influence their scores in some other categories? So that's where I came from. Now you want me to go with my top three kind of and where they.
Yeah, because
You're
walk
not?
through
Okay.
top three.
Um, I had I had three top ones, and I actually had a fourth that was right behind. Like that was just finished just out, and that was Lyra Hill. They actually also scored really well. But I'll just go in alphabetical order as they're presented. Left field, I thought had a really good presentation. They scored really high in past performance and in personnel. Um, they also scored really well when it comes to a lot of the 5-point categories as well. The building commissioning, they seemed to have a lot of knowledge and a good grasp of how that should work. And that was one of the categories I thought, if you didn't have a mechanical engineer on board, or at least some type of mechanical personnel, that typically that's most of your commissioning is mechanical systems. So you like to have that on board. The second, which was my highest, was PMA. They also scored high in past performance. They scored very high with satisfactory work relations with designers and others, and that was based on the references they provided, the information they provided, and the specific job information from the past, as well as management approach was, I thought, was excellent. I don't think I gave anyone a 15 in management approach, but they were pretty high. Gave them a 14. The key personnel also very high. My last high score was Vertex. The presentation was actually very similar to the PMA. I think PMA edged them out in personnel management approach rather, but they also had a very high score with work relationship with others, provided a lot of good examples of past work, and not just examples of past work, but how they achieved certain goals within those projects. So that's how I came to my scores. So we're not going to discuss the ones that I'm.
No, try to
Yeah.
keep it short. All right. Scott, do you mind walking through what you have for your top three, and I'll shift over to that.
Sure. My approach was very similar to Glenn's as far as the type of things I was looking for. Um, as key personnel, but also, how do they handle um some of the more of the sub-consultant roles, or do they have that role in-house? Things like estimating, code reviews, um, or was it even mentioned at all? In some cases, some of them mentioned that they do it, but they didn't say how they did it, whether it was somebody internally or if they had a consultant to do it. So I used that to judge some of them, along with looking at people's resumes, their current workload, along with their availability. Some people had availability of low percentages, while other people had higher percentages of availability. So I tried to balance that with evaluating the teams. Um, and so, yeah, when I went through, I kind of landed on like three different tiers. and the highest scoring tier was I think the same ones that Glenn had. I've got I think the first one on the list there is left field. Um, you know, they had some a good list of ongoing product projects that I thought would be good references against what we're doing, and some of those projects are ahead of us. So I thought there'd be some really good recent lessons learned that we could pull from them. I noticed some of the others, their comparative products projects seem to be a bit older. So I thought that was favorable for them. One of the reasons that I think I scored them high. Um, with PMA, their proposal was very good. Um, you know, we know the people that they're proposing from working with them previously, so there was a level of comfort in their abilities and knowing what they're capable of and what it's like to work with them. I think that probably helped their scores on my scorecard. Um, and they certainly ticked all the boxes I was looking for. Nothing really missing in theirs. And then the other high score I had was Vertex. Um, and with Vertex, let's see. Um, again, they had a pretty good list of projects that are slightly ahead of us that I thought we could leverage. Um, and their team looked really solid with recent experiences too and availability. So, um, you know, I focused the most on the teams, and that's where the big numbers were. And then with the five category, the 4 to 5, the 1 to 5 category was a little bit more even across the board with a lot of them, but the standouts were on the approach and the people.
Yeah.
Any
Thanks, Scott.
questions?
No, the one other thing that I'll do after I just walk through Tim's is I just want to walk through and make sure the scores at the bottom that I've accumulated match what you have, just as more of a check as we're walking through, just to make sure the number, because the numbers were tight on a lot
Yeah.
of these. I want to make sure they're all correct. So I'll do that right after. Um, so, you know, as I mentioned, I'll see if I can zoom out a little bit.
Yeah, there should
Um,
be on the spreadsheet I gave you, there should be a check on there for, you know, I had a tab for each scoring each one, so you can just refer back and forth to those to make sure they line up.
Yeah, I just want to do it in public with us too, just
Okay.
because I copied your stuff into this working files, because essentially what it does is it takes all three scores, takes the average, and that's how we're making our short list at the very end.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, we'll double check.
Yep. So essentially with Tim, as you can see, his scoring was pretty consistent. I know talking to him, he had a hard time differentiating between some of them because he basically felt, you know, all the submittals were extremely well. And you know, I mean, I think that's credit to everybody. I don't think there was any really bad submittals that anyone kind of reviewed. So, you know, with Tim, his scoring essentially came down similar for, I would call it 1 and 2, with PMA at 1, left field at 2, and then Skanska at 3, which is different than what you and Glenn had.
Mhm.
Um, you know, but as far as specifics, content or something like that, yeah, he didn't relay that to me. So, what I'll do now is, you know, if we just go to the front sheet and look at kind of where the totals ended up, you know, for our top place one with an average 87.67, it was PMA. Second place on the short list was left field at 84.67. And then just knowing this column's vertex, it was 84.33. So Scott, if I could, I just want to walk through your numbers real quick, just to make
Sure.
sure. So like, let me just see if I can hide some of this stuff, just so we can make sure we're. So for Accenture, 81,
Yes,
AE competition, 68,
yes,
CHA, 82,
yes,
Hollywood, 83,
yes,
left field, 86,
yes,
Lero Hill, 83,
yes,
NB5, 69,
yes,
P3, 65,
yes,
PMA, 91,
yep,
Skanska, 78,
yes,
and Vertex, 86.
yes.
Okay,
It's all correct.
thank you. And Glenn, just doing the same for you. Side. So start first, Accenture, 70.
Yep,
Yep. AE competition, 61,
yep,
CHA, 75,
yes,
Collier, 76.
yes,
Left field, 86.
yes,
Lero Hill, 85,
yes,
NB5, 73,
yes,
P3, 68,
yes,
PMA, 88,
yes,
Skanska, 77,
yes,
and Vertex, 86.
yes,
Okay. So I think we've got our short list now. Like I said, I went through Tim's, I'll just read them out just so they're there. Accenture, 77, AE competition, 76, CHA, 78, Colliers, 75, left field, 82, Lero Hill, 76, NB5, 81, P3, 80, PMA, 84, Skanska, 82, Vertex, 81. So, any questions or anything like that as far as that? Scott, anything on your end?
No, it looks pretty consistent.
Okay.
Different numbers, but like the way they fall out seems to be pretty consistent.
Okay. All right, so what we've got is, coming up in about 8 minutes, we've got our next school building committee meeting, so we can walk through with everybody on that. It's the same calls, Scott, so if you just want to stay on.
Okay.
Right, I'll just entertain a motion to adjourn to close this meeting, and then we'll open the next one in. So,
motion to adjourn.
all right, so moved.
I'll second it.
Roll call vote, Scott Terashak,
Yes.
Glenn Hoffman,
Yes.
Sean O'Rourke, yes. Thank you very much. See you guys all in 7 to 8 minutes.
All right. Sounds good. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Hey Nathan, audio working okay? Can you hear us?
I can, yep.
All right,
Sorry to be
cool.
late.
No problem. It's all good. We'll get started now. I'll keep an eye on who else is coming. Let me just move this up. And while I'm talking, if any of you guys see people like pop in. All right, let's get started. So it is May 27th at 7:07 PM. I'll call to order the meeting of the Milton School Building Committee. I'm the chair, Sean O'Rourke, and then typically we just do a roll call attendance. So we'll start with the gentleman online, Nathan Hutto. There.
Here,
Yep, Scott Terashak.
Present.
Our newest member, Peter Obersheimer, here. Glenn Hoffman
Here.
and Bob Mayhew. Here. All right, we do have a quorum. Carrie Hurley and Tim Lombard will not be in attendance tonight. They had other commitments. So second item on the agenda is citizen speak. We reserve the first 15 minutes of our meetings for any citizen that does want to speak. We ask that you limit your discussion to 3 minutes, and then please lead off with your name and address. So we'll give it a minute and see if there are any members that do want to speak. And Aqua just joined us too. And not seeing any. Just double check, make sure Aqua's audio is working. Good evening, Aqua. Can you hear us okay? My name is probably joining by phone. Agenda item number 3 is approval or past minutes for Monday, May 4th, 2026. I was delinquent on getting those. Can't wait till we get the OPMs back on board. So we'll table that and go with those at our next meeting. Moving right ahead, agenda item number 4, new business 4A, OPM subcommittee scoring shortlist. So prior to this meeting at 6:30, the OPM subcommittee, which consisted of Glenn Hoffman, Scott Tereshak, Tim Lombard, met. Again, Tim was not available, so I stood in for him as a proxy. We reviewed the submittals that came in, so I'll kind of repeat what we did earlier. We had 11 total submittals from OPMs that came, which wasn't surprising. The site visit that we did had a large attendance to it. Those submittals were reviewed against the scoring sheet that had essentially 12 categories with the number of points that accumulated to 100 points. And I'll just walk through what they were. So the first was for past performance. So we reviewed their submittal and how they performed on previous projects. That was weighted at 15 points. Their understanding of the state building code and ADA requirements, that was 10 points. The mass contract and procurement law, 5 points. Their management approach, 5 points. Key personnel, 15 points. So the actual people who will be working on the projects. Their capacity and skills, 15 points.
Something's off, sorry. We skipped building codes. And the last one should be,
Oh, yeah, I apologize. That was number 2. State building, well, I said state building code.
it just threw the numbers off when you kept reading.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was just
Yeah,
going off.
sorry.
So yeah, but the state building code ADA requirements, there was 2. Key personnel. Capacity and skills was 15 points.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right.
Current and future workload in excess of $1.5 million, 5 points. Familiarity with the Northeast Collaborative and LEED, or essentially green building, 5 points. Life cycle cost analysis, experience, 5 points. Experience and knowledge of the purpose and practice of building commissioning, 5 points. Experience in presentations to basically convey, some of the technical aspects that we're going to see as part of this project, 5 points. And then finally, financial stability, 5 points. So out of the 11 submittals that were received, Glenn, Scott, and Tim went through, scored each one individually, and then essentially we averaged out those to create a short list. That short list ended with the firms of PMA Consultants, Left Field, and Vertex. So essentially for us, we're going to be interviewing those 3 firms in person. So they'll come in, they'll give a presentation, and then we'll open up to questions and answers. What I will do in the meantime, prior to those interviews, we'll distribute their proposals to allow everybody on the overall committee to dive into those proposals. And essentially, when we interview these firms, the intent is we're going to create out of the short list a ranking 1, 2, or 3, 1 being most preferential, 3 being the least preferential. And then based on the aggregate of the entire committee or the voting members of the entire committee, we'll make a selection out of them. So I'll pause with that just to see if anybody has questions or comments. First off.
Just on the form, and thanks for that info on the format for the interviews. I'm guessing in person and we're all invited to
Yep.
participate? Okay, and it'll just be all of us here, one panel session review.
Yeah, yeah, so it's similar to what we did previously, like we're kind of going on our own path a couple of years ago. We have everybody essentially in a room. We'll probably do the Baker room downstairs because it's bigger. And what we do is we line up essentially 3 1 hour back-to-back presentations. We ask them to come in. I forget the exact times, but I'm just gonna guess at it. It's like a 15-20 minute presentation. 15-20 minutes of Q&A, and then we have a little break in between just to allow people to come in and set up and the other ones to egress. The questions are open to anybody who wants to ask things that are there. And it's typically a good back and forth. In regards to the scoring, so we have on the committee, we have voting and non-voting members. So if the scoring will be done only by the voting members that are there, but questions, input, or anything like that is definitely encouraged from non-voting members.
Okay, you don't know the night yet, do you?
No, so tentatively, and that's actually a good point. So tentatively, we had it scheduled for next Monday night. However, I think asking firms from starting tonight to come in Monday night prepared is a bit aggressive. So I'm open to other dates, and I was gonna touch on that under future meetings, but happy to touch on it now. So just for everybody here, with the following Monday, which would be June 8th, or some night during that week, work for people better. What we're aiming for, better talk about the deadline too, for MSBA, for their OPM selection committee, we make our recommendation to them and they'll approve it. And so it will formally go to them in July. So we're trying to get this done early in June. So that way we can get that information to MSBA. As everybody knows, with public meetings, there's certain deadlines ahead of the meeting that they're trying to hit. So go around the room. Scott, looking at you for the second week in June. Any times that are not good? Let's start there.
Well, Monday is good. Tuesday, I mean, I look good that week. Sometimes I do have to travel on Wednesdays and Thursdays. That's to be determined for that week right now.
Okay. Nathan?
I think Thursday is the only, I assume we're talking evenings. It's the only evening that would not work for me.
Okay. And then just that week, there's no school committee meeting that week. I'm just trying to think for you and
No.
Mark. Mark's not here. Okay.
Yeah, no school committee meeting that week.
It'd be the week of June 8th to the 12th.
Thank you.
So I'm just trying to hone in on what available dates, and then we can, if it works for everybody, we can pick a date that works for all. Pete?
Tuesday night, we have select board, but otherwise free.
Okay. One,
Any night but Wednesday's good that week.
any Wednesday.
Earlier on Wednesday's fine, but I'm not available after 8.
Yeah, no, this would be 3 hours. We'll probably start at 6,
Yeah.
end at 9. So it seems to me that Monday, just, by you not available on Wednesday, he would select board on Tuesday, and then Thursday for Nathan, just from a raw poll. So let's aim, at least for right now, for June 8th. And I can have Nick reach out to the OPMs to aim for that date for our next meeting. Like I said, we'll aim to start at 6 p.m. or have them start at 6 p.m. We'll probably want to get here a little bit earlier. And then 6 to 7 will be one, 7 to 8 is the next, and 8 to 9 will be the final. Oh, I apologize. Aqua, I apologize. I missed asking you too. Sorry about that.
Fine. That Monday works for me.
Okay, apologies about that. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. All right, any other questions or anything regarding to the OPM procurement? Hearing none. All right, we'll move on to item 4B, which is new business, Laboray Architectural Services. So at the close of our last meeting, we had a discussion on Laboray. And essentially, you know, the role of school building committee as it relates to Laboray as an overall topic within the town. You know, school building committee is acting as an advisory role to this. And that role, basically, the role to purchase Laboray College falls with the select board, because they're the ones that will actually execute the purchase. School committee, there was a good discussion last week with school committee as it related to programs that could be at Laboray. Many of the programs that were talked about don't fit under the kind of umbrella that we're operating with MSBA right now. So just for everyone's consumption, the two programs that we can build at Laboray under the current progress we're making with MSBA are this: a new elementary school, grades K to 5, with an enrollment of 495 students, and a middle school, grades 7th and 8th, with an enrollment of 660 students. Each one of them have a preschool component, but that preschool component is open to us to define. So we can essentially say it would be 0, which would be my anticipation if we were to go there, just due to the lack of space on a 4.7 acre site. The items that were discussed by school committee were alternate options that were outside of that kind of umbrella, if you call it that, for MSBA. So, you know, essentially those items that are there, we're looking to secure architectural services, which I've received a proposal from DLR Group, I believe it was, to study whatever program comes out from school committee at Laboray. And the intention of that would be to define what the existing building could use. Most likely the building is going to need an addition to it, and what size that addition would be. And then basically, you know, figure out from the program that's provided the required square footage that we need to build and renovate. So with that, I'll open it up just for anybody on the committee for questions or comments. Nathan, I don't know if I missed anything in regards to, you know, what I relayed for school committee. Feel free. I know select board talked about it last night too.
I don't think you missed anything. I'm happy to do my best to answer questions that the group might have, but I think, yeah, we covered, you know, the superintendent and his team did a pretty thorough review of options that they felt the building could meet, including isolated grade options, pre-K and K, or just early childhood, standalone school, and we kind of just debated the merits of those and highlighted a couple of other options that I think the superintendent Phelan and his team are going to go back and continue to review and iterate on and probably spend more time at the site to better understand it as well. But I'm happy to go into any questions that people have specifically.
Yeah. Any questions or P2?
I'll just add, like, we got it discussed a bit last night, both as a potential acquisition for the town for either school use or other. And, you know, it just the information we get from both this committee and the school committee is going to be critical for us in sort of this time compressed schedule here. So I know that means sort of dual tracking, maintaining that MSBA work and this, but it's going to be really important. So it's really appreciated. You know, I think we want to consider this option very seriously. So this is going to be really important what we get from you guys. And you know, we talked nothing new from what this committee's discussed before with school. From a timeline perspective, it matches up with the engagement documents we're going to talk about. But you know, school building committee wrapping up its work late July, so that we can act rather quickly into August around final decision making around acquisition, knowing there's some different target dates in August. We try to have that decided by, and I could expand on that. So anyway, appreciate it.
Yeah. And just, for your guys' information, you saw in the proposal, the request to have this architectural call it study completed essentially by the beginning of August. And the reasoning for that was if this was to go on a ballot in November, the select board would have to advise the state as of August 5th. So, to work as quickly as we possibly can, that was our request to the architect, which is why, we've been moving fast as far as securing a proposal and a fee. The one thing you'll notice is this does not include cost estimating. We will be contracting that separately in a parallel path with the cost estimator. So the cost estimate and the structural analysis that we'll be looking at, we'll be contracting that outside of the architectural firm that's there.
I believe, not that it matters,
Sure.
to your point, I believe it's the 6th of August, but
6th,
doesn't it, just to be clear.
early August.
Yeah. And I have one comment, I don't want to jump ahead on that sentence in the letter about timing, when we get to the actual letter, we can talk about it.
Yep. So I sent around the proposal. Oh, Nathan, I apologize. I didn't see you. Go for it, sir.
No, all good. Sorry, my connection glitched when you said something. You said something, the select board needs to notify the state about something, and I missed what that was.
Oh, it was for the November ballot. So the process to do that, and Pete can probably talk to you if you want to.
Oh,
I mean, there's a few potential deadlines in August to make this decision. One to be, and everything's a bit of a moving target right now, so we might as well work from the earliest deadline. Whether or not it's the most realistic, it's too soon to say. I'll throw out 2 dates. One is we anticipate, but do not know for sure. The actual, property will hit the market in later August. So that's one date, time period to go, work from, but that's not, locked in at this point. Secondly, Sean mentioned an August 6th date, which is from I think the earliest date to be mindful of. And that date is awkward because it would be likely before, the property's hitting the market. But if one path to acquiring this property would be a debt exclusion, and we'd have to decide when that would be. But one possibility would be to try to line that up with the November election. In order to get on the ballot for to get the debt exclusion vote on the November election ballot, we'd have to get the ballot language to the state. I think it's the state, I have to double check, by August 6th. So August 6th, at least as I'm seeing now, and we're still thinking through this, but that's why we're kind of talking about August 6th as an early potential date to have our plan figured out. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, that's a big lead time. But
yeah, and I don't think it will be August 5th when we decide whether that's the operative date or not. But the first time we talked about it as a board last night, so I'll keep sharing what we're thinking about timing as this evolves. But I think that the takeaway for school committee and school building committee is we'd be counting on you guys for June and July to sort of do your portion of the diligence. I mean, we definitely be in touch during that time. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's a surprise, the dates that I've seen you guys use in your meetings. And then for select board to finalize it in August.
And just to follow on that too. So following the similar visioning sessions that we did. So I just want to walk everybody through kind of what I'm seeing the architect's going to do. So in the near future from the school committee, or at least the hope is we're going to get a program that they want to implement at Library College. So the architect will have direction on what that program is, which will also have an enrollment associated with it of how many students they'll need to do. And they'll program space around that, again, within the existing structure and with an amended addition to it. The architect's not going to work in a vacuum. They're going to be in touch with the school district, the teachers, everybody, similar to the visioning sessions we did before, to gather input, build the correct program from a schematic point of view, from a study. And then that is, again, going to feed into an overall cost estimate, and that cost estimate will be there, again, as our input for advisory to select board. Again, Nathan, if I said anything wrong from expectations from school committee, nope, okay. So I just want to, the other part too, just for this committee to be aware is, this will all occur over the summer again, June, July. So we'll probably have a rhythm of meetings, probably, my guess is probably every 2 weeks, just, once we kick off. So I think what we want to do tonight is have a vote to approve expending the funds that we have that are remaining funds that are allocated to school building committee, so that we can engage the architect. So once the school committee has their program set, we're in line to hit the ground running. So open it up and just see if anybody has any questions on that kind of pathway or progress forward. Seeing none, so entertain any motions that anybody wants to make. I can pull up the contract if people need to see it one more time. If you have comments,
Just one question, one comment. So, okay, if I jump into that.
yeah.
This is more just, educate me, please. Just on the page 1. So we're looking at the DLR group letter, right? So,
yep, let me just pull it up. I'll share it so they see it. For students. Sorry about that.
it's the second bullet. I just wanted to better understand in plain language, the last sentence, accounting of each non-compliant item will not be included in the assessment. I imagine that's pretty boilerplate stuff. I just, one thing I'm keeping an eye out for is just to make sure we're all receiving actionable stuff, and I'm sure that's a pretty standard carve out, but I don't know if that means anything to you guys,
I can check on that. So my read,
I think it should be included. Right?
well, I think on that, I think what they're talking about, and this is just me coming in from doing inspections and stuff like that. For some buildings where we do inspections, we do asset inspections of everything, talking windows, individually down to each item. And that's what I think they're saying there is like, they're not gonna give every window count.
Yeah,
to the
this is
staff.
specifically talking about code compliance and
Yeah,
accessibility, correct?
however, a comprehensive accounting of each non-compliant item will not be included in the assessment. So I can ask.
Identification, it's just, I guess it's a little misleading. Identification of code deficiency and accessible deficiency, doesn't have to convert, blah, blah, blah. So they're saying they're gonna identify it, and they're saying they're not gonna tell us what
But
it is.
I think what they're saying is they're gonna identify it from a high level. They're not
Yeah,
they're
that's
not
fine.
gonna get granular and
And I get that, they don't wanna be responsible for stuff that they're not gonna have time to.
Yeah, I mean, nor, within the 2 months we're asking them to do this. I mean,
If it turns into a design project, they're gonna be
Yeah,
responsible
that's,
for it anyway.
correct, seems sensible.
yeah, I only bring that up from, like, we do some school inspections and building inspections, and they'll go every window, identify each one. And
Yeah, no, that, I agree, that's.
And I'll confirm this one with Shanali.
Sean, I read this as they will identify code deficiencies that are related specifically to the conversion to a preschool from a college building. There's going to be other code issues that come up that exist independent of the building's use. So that's how I interpret the difference between those two sentences. A preschool is going to require certain things that um that a general building that it's different than general building use that may require certain things no matter what its use is.
Yeah, just from a high level one, seeing the floor plans for Laboret, the class, if this goes pre-K, K, the typical layouts of them have dedicated bathrooms for the students within the classroom.
That's a great
where these
example.
classrooms do not, so I think it's something along that lines, but
Yep.
and I will touch base with them, because the big things I did talk to them about was portions of the building that we're renovating, bringing that up to the current stretch energy code that the town's adopted. And then ideally isolating this to only so as you guys know, there are 3 buildings there. And what I'd like to try to do is isolate the renovation to just one of the 3 buildings, the one that has the classrooms associated with it. So we're not renovating the entire campus, and we can kind of keep it there, mainly due to cost avoidance on some of the other ones that we're just gonna reuse as office space. But I'll check on that one.
Yeah, and just one more, and
Sure.
I'm not sure it warrants a letter or edits to the letter, but I just wanted to get your take on it based on your interactions and the engagement, but just on the timing on page 2. Project schedule bullet, or beginning with project schedule, and specifically, the sentence dealing with, presentation of findings of the town leadership in August. Just going back to our timing discussion from a moment ago. Between us, I could see that being a late July, time sensitive August discussion. As long as it's not like, everyone's on vacation, you're getting dates for mid-August or whenever in August. I'm sure we don't have to deal with that, but
Yeah,
I would either pose an edit or just if we're comfortable, we're not gonna run into that, that's fine, but it just caught my eye.
yeah, so essentially the request would be early August to align with that.
I would, if I could frame it my way, I would say, potential for time sensitive presentation. So you're inserting time sensitive before presentation of findings to the town or MSP leadership in late July or August.
Okay.
It's a minor thing. It's more to signal the timing importance to us than for anything like particularly enforceable.
Yeah, and part of, they would do this just based on discussions that I was having with them, trying to get fast forward. They were obviously flexible.
Yeah.
Trying to work with us, and part of it too is not just go off in a silo, do all this work and then show up once and give a presentation. It's gonna be pretty interactive.
Yeah.
This time.
And I actually think not to belabor this, but I think the point of the sentence is different. It's to say most of their work is actually June and July, but you may have to be around for a presentation in August. I get that, but just want to be clear now.
No. If you could send me those edits.
Sure.
We can amend this and then, with those edits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Knowing this is typically what happens when you have architects or engineers writing factual language. Stop sharing. So. Anybody else on the committee or questions or comments in regards to the architectural services? Hearing none. With the edits that, Pete's suggesting, would anybody be, open to a motion to approve this?
I'll make a motion to approve it with the edits that were just discussed related to timing and scope.
Second.
Second, Nathan. Any other discussion or comments?
I don't think we have any scope edits, but it's fine.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Okay. All right, so we'll do a roll call vote because we're remote. Starting with gentleman online, Scott Tereshak,
Yes.
Nathan Hutto,
Yes.
Aqua Ball,
Yes.
Peter Obersheimer,
Yes.
Glenn Hoffman,
Yes.
and Shauna Work, yes. What I'll do is for our next meeting, I'll get the proposals for the cost estimates and the structural review. And we'll pull those in, basically dive into those similarly. The next item on the agenda, item 4B or 4C, apologies, is the MSBA update. So one of the things, town administrator yesterday touched base with MSBA. Wanted to give them an update or just informational that we are looking at Laboret. I think it's kind of good practice to just keep them aware of where we're going, but they understand we're on a parallel path still. So we're still proceeding with the OPM selection that's there. We haven't heard, or I haven't heard back from them yet, so I don't believe Nick has either. But our intention with MSBA right now is, now that we have our OPM shortlist done, conduct our formal interviews next, and then after those formal interviews in July, sit for the selection committee, and most likely end up with whoever we decide on. So with that, I'll just open it up to see if anybody has any questions in regards to MSBA and our next steps. Hearing none. All right. Last item on the agenda is our next meeting, and I think based on what we talked about earlier, 8th, just a couple weeks out. No, we already talked about it and checked with everybody. I think it's good for everyone. And I think with that, we've come to the end of the meeting. So I will entertain the motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
All right, Nate.
Second.
Glenn. All right, another roll call vote. Scott Tereshak,
Yes.
Nathan Hutto,
Yes.
Aqua Bong,
Yes.
Peter Obersheimer,
Yes.
Glenn Hoffman,
Yes.
and Shauna Warp, yes. All right, thank you guys very much. Have a good night.
All right.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, everyone.